Let's call the meeting to order. March 22nd, 2019. Consent agenda. Approve the agenda for 3/22/19 and approve the minutes of 2/20/19. Do I
Move to approve?
hear a second?
I can second, but I wasn't
You weren't
here,
here.
so
I guess
you could.
I can second
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And all in favor? Aye.
I
Abstain?
abstain, actually, that's
Okay.
what I meant to say.
2-1.
Well,
Do
then
we
I
need-
don't, it's
Is that
that,
non-approval? We
Well,
need
it's-
his,
Well, I can, can I recuse myself? Is that how I do this?
I think it's
mean,
like
I wasn't here, I don't know.
I think it's like 2-0-1 because you aren't voting against it, but you're like abstaining.
Right.
So.
but does that constitute a quorum?
Yeah,
If there's only two approving?
Yeah, but we have the minimum quorum. It worked
Okay.
with ad tech, so
and we'll make it work. If it doesn't,
yeah.
it's not going to change the city that much.
Yep.
Action item, park standards for Homestead Park.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So I just, John included pictures from what we usually put in the various parks around the city. It's materials and equipment from a company called Pilot Rock, and they make really nice material. And then also you'll see a document called Haven Homes Dash Submittal, and that shows what they wanted to put at that park out in Homestead, and frankly, it looks like a bunch of cheaper equipment. And I think we have an opportunity to get what we truly want because they really like the idea of that becoming that veterans park, and for them, to really hang their hat on it, that they're doing right by the city. So I think there's an opportunity to try to get them and put the proper equipment out there. And I think it would go a long way if there was a recommendation from the park board, and I plan on getting council involved as to what is the true standard for equipment. And the stuff that we get from Pilot Rock just looks a lot more professional. The stuff that they're submitting, I mean, a lot of that stuff looks like something you'd put in your backyard. So I have concerns about the longevity of it. I mean, Jim, I don't know if you'd be
Pilot
the
Rock's a
expert.
great product.
Well, yeah, Pilot Rock, I like the stuff that Haven Homes wants to submit. If you click on that, I'm concerned about the longevity of it.
Is this industrial grade?
The Pilot Rock stuff is the
Right, but this new-
the Haven Homes. I looked it up and I don't believe it is. And that's the issue. And while at the end of the day, it's not like we can make them because, as I said, we didn't really have the proper park protocols back when this subdivision passed multiple years ago.
Yeah.
But it seems like they want to make a public show of the fact that they're getting a park. So I think that we have maneuverability to negotiate.
Okay, I'll go to the Haven Homes.
So I mean, if you do like that equipment, it'd be great to get a recommendation from this body this meeting. Main reason being is you'll also see attached to the subject item to finally frame them in where there's actually deadlines on stuff. We did negotiate basically an agreement with them as far as when various items are done. And pretty much, the park needs to be completely done by July 31st, or else we can start pulling bonds from them. So,
I've never heard of American Park.
I haven't either.
Never heard of them in all the years that I've been in this business.
Now, in looking at American Park, pretty much what I found is it looks like they're a supplier of recreation equipment for this Midwest store I used to go to called Meijer, it's like Walmart, but it's out in the Midwest. So
Okay.
So it looks like they sell a lot of residential type equipment from what I've seen.
Yeah, I'd worry about it if it's primarily residential.
Yeah, because then it's going to get beat
You
up.
just
and-
don't,
Yeah.
You'll have to replace it
Yep,
sooner than 15 years.
exactly.
So what are you asking for again?
Basically, that the pilot rock materials is like the recommended standard for like park equipment across city parks.
Pilot, so Leif and Tito know, Pilot Rock is a very strong commercial product. Great reputation, great long-term use. So it is I would recommend it as a product line. Not necessarily for play equipment, but for the standard park benches, and garbage cans, and those things. It's the best.
Yep, and as I said, at the end of the day, if we get into protracted arguments, it's not like I can force them, but from my communications with them, I think since it seems like they want to do a formal ribbon cutting out there and make a show of it, that
Good.
we have leverage. And if I get a recommendation this meeting, I plan on using said leverage to try to get the proper equipment.
Do we have any kind of an idea about what the cost differential is between their proposed and what it would be if we were to use this other equipment from Pilot Rock?
Well, from what I have seen just in looking at it, and Jim, maybe I don't know if you would have a better figure, but cost-wise, it looked like there was about like a 15 to 20% differential on it. When I looked at like what other cities have done, and the Pilot Rock stuff, we actually installed ourselves out over at Kiwanis Park when we rehabilitated that park. So our numbers on that back that standard.
Yeah. I really highly recommend we create a standard.
Yeah.
Because then if you have to buy parts, you know you're going to be able to get them from Pilot Rock, number one. Number two is you're standardizing the entire, you have 10 benches that all are the same versus, so whenever you need a part to replace, it's pretty easy to do.
And that would be the plan in subsequent years because, and I'm going to get to this later in the meeting, but we have the Lions Park rehab, which will be replacing all the equipment, and then the capital facilities plan for next year. We had budgeted to basically do a minor renovation over at Harvest Meadows on the other side of the highway. So,
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it's important to have conformity across all the parks. So I think if you're going to go with something cheaper now, it's going to end up costing you more to
Yeah.
maintain in the long run. So they might as well do it right the first time and go with the standard.
Absolutely. So either one of you want to propose a motion to accept staff's recommendation for Pilot Rock being the standard for park?
Let me ask a couple more questions
You bet.
first. So is there more than one product line from Pilot Rock? And would this really not resolve the problem if all they do is buy a lower level Pilot Rock? Is that,
well,
all I have
Yeah.
about Pilot Rock is the photos in front of me.
Well, how should I say this? With the recommendation, maybe say in line with the images that are in the recommendation, because those are the materials that we used out in Kiwanis Park, and that is what we would like for this standard out there. If you go on Carolyn, if you go on board docs, the various.
And they do not, they have different styles?
Right, but it's all the same.
No different levels of workmanship and quality. They don't have a lesser, a medium, and a high. They make it right to start with.
So we're,
Just a different design.
Just the various pictures that are on there.
Yeah.
What equipment was put in place at Lions Park when it was built? was it Pilot Rock or was it a different?
No.
Lions Park, that was different stuff, because that was
Yes.
a while back.
I'm trying to remember what I think it is, but
Okay.
I could be, yeah, we'll guess. I can tell you, Walla Walla uses it, Pilot Rock is it.
Exclusively, or?
Pretty much. They have some ornamental benches that aren't the standard, but they are the standard for Pioneer Park.
And Public Works Director, he recommended we get some kind of standard, because he was really worried if this American thing went through
Yeah.
without any sort of pushback, that it would end up breaking soon, and we'd be back to basically paying it out taxpayer money instead of their money.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 different manufacturers of play equipment that would be much better, higher quality than what I see in the American.
Yeah.
So the recommendation that we would be making would be that we have these Pilot Rock materials used exclusively. That would be our recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
And that ultimately it's up to the developer to make those final decisions, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, since all of this was done through the hearing examiner prior to my arrival, as far as from a legality standpoint, I don't have much leverage, but as I said, they've contacted me where they want to make like a public like ribbon cutting and spectacle of this, and as such, I think there is some leverage to get what really is necessary out there. So I want to see where, and me just saying you need to do this doesn't really hold a ton of weight to it. Whereas if a citizen advisory body is like, hey,
Can the other option, since you do have a contract and there's little leverage,
Yeah.
if any, can you just offer to pay that difference in pricing?
yeah, I mean that's another potential. Yeah.
So you become standardized?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the issue is more about standardizing the equipment than the pure manufacturing.
Mhm.
So that's,
Yeah, I mean that would be another potential as well, and we could definitely entertain that. I just don't want them claim jumping on this and then going to that
Yeah.
American and then we regret it.
well, you're gonna ask them for cut sheets on all the equipment and
Yep.
what pricing is with the quote.
Yep.
So you should have that,
And this is just a recommendation,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
we should do this business. Tito, were you working on a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to follow through with the recommendation of suggesting standardized equipment for all parks, including this one.
Second?
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I know it's not easy.
Well, I
That
would
could be
imagine
a
it's-
long, drawn-out discussion.
Yeah.
At some point, there should be a set of standards established, I would think, rather than us just making
Yeah.
motions
Yeah.
to recommend things.
Yeah,
I would
well-
think that, we would want a set of sort of objectively understandable things that people can budget around and figure out when they're developing things. I mean, I'm not for creating a lot of extra burden for developers. There's, I think, a balance there that has to be struck, but creating some standards would be probably a good idea at some point.
The general plan is that since we're moving through development code stuff, I want to hear a discussion at a later meeting about actually getting a formal standard in place that can be in the code. The big problem in this case is because I'm trying to hold them and define timelines to
Yeah.
finally get them done. It was that either we tell them something or else that
Happens.
You get what you want.
yeah, or else it happens, and then if I delayed them, then they could claim that I was messing with their agreement. So,
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's limited options when you clean up older stuff, so.
Right.
Okay, the next option, next thing I wanted to bring up to this body is we just received information yesterday from Sherwood Trust that we at least passed the first round of review for the core grant, which would help with the renovation out there. So they would like to do a site visit over on April 4th. So anyone that's around at that time, I think the more the better, because it shows, greater support for
Okay,
it.
now, this is for the proposal for
Lions.
Lions Park.
Lions Park, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the dredging and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and Sherwood Trust, they have like a multiple step process, and we turned it in a while ago, and luckily we passed the first round of review.
Yeah. If you're in the first round, you're in line unless you screw up.
Yeah.
So our hope is that they can help support the renovations.
Yeah.
That's the idea?
Yeah.
And have we developed any further the plan out there? I know that there was some question about how the trail was going to go and what we were going to do and what one side of it would look like versus the other side, and how playground equipment was going to be rearranged. Have we settled?
A couple meetings ago, and I could send it out to everyone. There is a schematic plan that was done by our architect engineer folks that shows all of that. I can bring that back.
Oh, if it's something that we brought up like 4 or 5 meetings ago.
Yeah,
I
it
think.
was a couple of meetings.
A couple of meetings ago. I might not have been here.
Yeah.
It was a while back.
Yeah, because
Probably
I
4 or
don't
5
think it
months.
was one that you were here for, but if you go
Okay.
back in board docs, you would see it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and if we're gonna meet, that's pretty quick, I'd really ask everybody to review that.
Yeah,
So that we know what we're talking about.
yeah, and
To the trust, because when you're not all together, they start to have more questions.
Yeah, I don't recall that information either, Mike. It might have been before my time.
Yeah.
I might have missed a meeting at some point. Could you send something
yeah,
out?
I'll send it.
Okay, that'd be great.
The visual I recall was taking the current play area and moving it across the creek, taking down the picnic structure, making the rock portion of that into a climbing area, and then making a trail around the entire park with some debatable sort of workout equipment all the way around. And then there was a path that went around the bottom side of the little lake area after it being dredged, and new sidewalks being put in that were accessible. And then the parking area, there was some question about the RV dump zone, where that was going to be, and some revisions in the parking lot area that
There's
were
also a
were
splash
questionable.
pad on.
Yeah.
Splash pad,
Yes,
that's right.
splash
New
pad.
Splash pad and the problems with associated wastewater.
Wastewater,
Yeah.
how we dealt with that.
That's what I
probably-
remember, and maybe, I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
most
The only
recent or
thing I
not.
don't really clearly remember is, was it ever finalized on what we were gonna do around the lake because of it
What?
falling into the lake, strategize? I thought we were gonna stay on the north side of the lake
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
and not wrap around.
Yeah, that in
Is that true?
in the final plan, from what I remember, and this was a while back, I
Oh, good job.
yeah.
It was from April.
That was a while back then.
Yeah,
Yeah, almost a year.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, that rock structure is actually a reworked chimney.
Yep.
Yep.
So what was the project cost for a renovation like this? What were you estimating?
So project cost for everything in the park except the pond was 1.3 million, and then when you include the final solution for the pond, it ended up being about 2 million.
Okay. And Sherwood Trust would be subsidizing?
The Sherwood Trust grant that we put in for was for 400,000. Yep.
So what's Sherwood gonna do if we don't get the state grant?
Well, I mean, we prefaced that in the application that was hanging out there, and we basically said that if we didn't get that grant, we would keep trying for other grants, and then we also put in there about the match that we put in this year's budget, because we did earmark a city match
Yeah,
of
that's right, you did,
400,000 that was adopted by council.
So I would approach it in that way with trust. and
Yeah.
Hope that we get the,
What are the objectives of the Sherwood Trust? Understanding what the organization stands for would help me understand
Oh, okay.
how we're approaching them with this and why they would want to support it.
Sherwood Trust, one of their main goals, first of all, I'll state, Sherwood Trust they had in their bylaws, they couldn't provide funding to any tax-receiving organization.
How did they start? Where did they come
Don and
from?
Virginia Sherwood were bankers here in Walla Walla, and Whitman
I assume there's some
graduates.
connection with Sherwood.
So the Sherwood Trust is their personal money. They died and left a large foundation. Primarily, a major grant goes to Whitman every year. And then they do community grants. They try to build nonprofit organizations and educate, so they bring in a lot of education for nonprofits. But for this instance, they changed their bylaws so they could build community around open spaces within neighborhoods. That's how you build community and community sense of community. So they started funding parks probably 10 years ago. And I've probably got over $3-4 million from them over the time frame. Very, very, and the reason I kept getting it, and they really mean this, we did what we said we were going to do, and we did it on time. And so that's why we continue to get more and more grants, because we did a lot of work with nonprofits, working with them, running the monies through a nonprofit versus just the city. That helps build community as well if you get more.
So can you point to some examples of their supported work, parks related?
Well, they give us $500,000 for the pool,
Okay.
memorial pool. We had the splash pad
Yeah.
at Washington Park. That was all of them and the Rotary Club match. That was about $150,000. The other improvements at Washington Park, because Washington Park was probably the most run-down, non-usable park in the system. We did a whole bunch of improvements, including bringing in a person to organize the neighborhood and help them create a master plan for that park. So we did that with them. Playground, that huge playground structure and equipment that goes along with it at Jefferson Park, Pioneer Park, the playgrounds there, on and on and on.
Okay. Helpful.
And this is the first time the city ever put in the application with them for anything.
Right. So this is a deviation from their normal sort of help Walla Walla, because we're helping College Place now potentially.
Well, yeah, and they're talking, their goals are in the area, so they
Right.
also do deal with free water. So it's good that College Place has finally submitted a request in to do this.
Yeah. No, that's great. Really great.
Good job. And John submitted, as I understand.
Yeah.
The grant.
Yeah, he worked on that, put a lot of work into it, so that was great. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to cobble together all the funds and make a go at it. I know Tri-State Steelheaders, they're doing some fundraising for the pond element of it, and a lot of folks are working to try and make a go at this. Same with the Lions Club.
800,000 will do a lot there.
Yeah. Yeah, trust me, I know even on the minor project we had in Colfax, we had 1.5 billion. That didn't do that much.
It'll do a lot.
Yeah.
We can organize it.
Yep.
Install.
So that's on the 4th of April.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do it. For sure.
And yeah, apologize for a late notice, but I just got that like yesterday afternoon, so they put it in as soon as I got it.
That's the way it works.
Yep.
Can you send a calendar invite,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, I can send that.
Thank you.
Yep.
12th, so we got that
Yep.
taken care of, 12th Street Parklet.
Yeah, so I just included this for consideration if you have general thoughts about this. Cascade Natural Gas, they actually paid for, as part of the property trade, they paid for a consultant to just come up with some ideas for what to do with it. And this is the same contractor we used to come up with the Lions Park schematic. So this is just, as you could see, what they're proposing, putting various trees and shrubs, a little walking area, bench. Even though it's a very small area, it's about an acre, it does have a nice viewpoint toward the mountains once we deal with the fence behind there, and it's along 12th Street, and 12th Street is actually a key corridor listed in that Blue Mountain Regional Trails plan. So one could argue that it'd be good to have, as a bicyclist, I'll say it'd be good to have a break point along 12th. The estimate that they have for everything in this schematic was between $35,000 and $40,000. My plan to try to fund this is, right now there's a AARP Community Challenge grant, and then Pacific Power also has a grant program as well that's about to open up for municipalities. So I'm going to try, if you're all okay with the general premise behind it, I'm going to try to prepare the applications to basically match each other and fund it that way.
And I'll get you a list of local trusts that you can apply to as well, if you don't have it.
Yeah, that'd be great
Yeah.
if you could get that to me.
Yeah, because there's probably 8 local trusts that will give $2,000 to $5,000. So there's some options for dollars in other places locally.
That'd be great, and yeah, if you recall, that's just a triangular piece. The Cascade Natural Gas had their old regulating station on, and we traded some property we had at the end of Larch because they put in a it's a big regulating station at the end of that, but we maintained rights so we could put a sign up or lease sign rights if we needed to down there, and then we got this in return. And right now it's just a gravel lot, and they cleaned it up because we wanted to make sure it wasn't a brown field or anything, since it did have natural gas on it. But right now it's just a barren gravel lot with a no parking sign because people were putting cars on it. So
We know it well, don't we, Tito?
Sure do. Whereabout is it located on 12th?
it's
You know, the 12th Street entrance into the subdivision? About a quarter of a block down on the opposite side.
near
of the street.
Newgate, the Newgate Road down in the Autumn Meadows. It's just to the west of
I
that.
see, okay.
So
Have all that
what about parking and
natural
access,
gas
and how do you get
stuff
there? Is it all
They did some
walking?
construction with
Is this
electrical
intended
to get that
mostly
out of
for,
Okay.
the people of right close by, or is there a way, you drive, is it parking along the road or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So,
The street's really wide, and there's parking on the street.
yeah, 12th Street
Yeah.
from Larchmire is super wide, so you can park along there for folks who want to like chill over there. And then there's a lot of pedestrian activity as there's sidewalks on both sides. And then we have that signed as a bike route since it is the main bike route in the Blue Mountain plan.
Yeah, it's a really active street. You don't have much going on that street in that for about a half mile.
Well, that's the
Because it's
thing.
fenced.
That's the thing. It's like a walled corridor
really
almost
is.
because it's a straight shot all the way to Myra, but there's no break point for bicyclists.
No place to stop and rest or
No.
take a breather. Yeah, okay. What do you need from us on this, Mike?
I would just say if you're approximately okay with the schematic, because then in the grant application, it doesn't have to be a motion, I just want to see if everyone's okay with it, because I'm going to be preparing grant applications, and before I spend the time to do that, I want to make sure everyone's okay with it.
Yeah, as long as Public Works is able to maintain it.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah.
We had discussed the idea that having small parks were somewhat burdensome to maintenance,
Yeah.
and that the objectives were to try to minimize small park areas that may not be able to serve larger groups of people, just simply because of the maintenance issues. Is this falling into that category or outside of that category?
I would, yeah, I would say in a way it does flirt with that category because it is a parklet, but on the other side of the coin, whether we like it or not, we do own that piece of property, and right now it doesn't look that good. And another thing which we have to deal with anyway, because I did some research and I found out some things, is regardless, we need to start taking care of our part of that bluff past the fence, because in my research of it, I found out that we own halfway up the bluff. The property line is really strange over there. Because I had some folks reach out to me that were pretty ticked off about the condition
Right,
of it.
right.
And I researched it, and it turns out there's like a property, we don't own the whole bluff. Gotta love how they did tax lots back in the day, but the tax lot line is like halfway up the bluff, so we own halfway up that thing. So at least on our part, we need to try to maintain it. As far as the other half, our options are very limited because that other half is, believe it or not, is an unincorporated island in the middle of the city. So
The other thing, right, is, I'm the biggest one that says you don't want small areas you have to maintain. Unfortunately, you have right-of-ways to maintain throughout the city, and there's several places like this.
yeah,
Myra Road is one of those, which College Place has a section, and Walla Walla has a section. And sometimes you just have to do things like this from a beautification
Yeah.
standpoint and a
I understand.
livability standpoint.
Yeah, and I bring it up simply because I know
Good
it's been a
point.
discussion point.
Yeah.
Okay, if you consider other alternatives, yeah, I understand. Is there a reason why this couldn't be surplused and the responsibility removed from College Place? There was the property across from, I'm trying to remember the name of the.
Lions Park.
Is it
Kiwanis?
Kiwanis Park,
Kiwanis? It's
yeah.
Kiwanis. That had the little well on it. That
Yeah,
was
and the restroom
surplus.
used to be
Yeah.
there too.
The what?
A restroom for the
Restroom,
park.
right, the restroom, right. And that was surplus. I don't know if it sold or not, but.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
Yep.
Is there a reason why we couldn't do something like that rather than take the burden of the small parks on?
Square footage. We have a minimum conforming lot requirement,
Doesn't
and the one over at Kiwanis Park met that. This one doesn't meet that, so that would be a major issue from that way because it's not a legally conforming lot to go build something on.
Okay. So I was just thinking of starting some sort of maybe a a Bitcoin mining operation in that very small area that's unincorporated, perhaps that would be,
That would work.
that would work.
Yes.
Yeah. A stateless park, perhaps, you know?
But
It's not even big enough for that.
no, trust me, I'm big in a surplus if it makes sense, but the problem is that doesn't fit our requirements. So at that point in time, that would be either changing a development code, which would make me very nervous because I've had some conversations with developers where they want to develop stuff where half the neighborhood would come unhinged if you did it, because they want like lots of basically the size of this table, and I want. So I very much hesitate to open up that for that, and it doesn't fit what exists.
Right.
So then we're left with it, and I don't know, that doesn't seem that conducive the way it looks now, where it's just a rock and gravel lot with a fence falling down.
Yeah. I'm only bringing these points up because I'm looking at alternatives, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not
Good
poo-pooing this idea.
questions. Great
I'm just saying, hey,
No.
have we thought through every avenue here?
Well, and I'm answering detail too, because I can see on a YouTube page, actually people listen to a lot of these, so
Oh, great.
surprisingly, so.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I'll keep my
Yeah,
Bitcoin comments down.
no, there's a, believe it or not,
I was gonna say.
we get a lot of.
Tree.
Believe it or not, we get a lot of people listening to the audio recordings of the meetings, so.
Another question that I was going to bring is, for a park this size, do we need to consider restrooms? Or is that too small to have restrooms?
I'm trying to think how
I
we,
would consider it a wayside, more of a
Yeah.
right-of-way, wayside versus park, number one. Number two is, I don't think you want to put another structure in there because it would change that entire
yeah.
Okay.
lot.
Well,
And
and
they're about, for a small one, about total cost $50,000 to $60,000.
Okay.
well, and then from the
for one
structure,
hole.
I would have to check our public reserve district, but again, that square footage requirement of like a legally conforming lot, I think putting as a structure on it, even for us, would trigger something, so I'd have to check that.
Okay. So you mentioned there's additional space here down the side of the mountain.
The
It's
slope
steep.
is like super steep, too, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
Like when we cut down weeds on that, that's gonna be a feat.
75 degrees.
That's good.
It's really steep.
I mean, I think,
That's the College Place climbing wall.
either that or, either that or really trim it and then have a sledding hill. Problem
There you
is
go.
you'd end up
I like it.
Yeah.
in a garage at the bottom.
At the
Right.
bottom, you can get into a whole bunch of junk.
That's where a splash pad needs to be, right there.
It's got slats in the fence right now, and it's a 8-foot fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably 8. And you can't see down there, but there's some slats missing, so you can
Right.
really get a view of what Michael's talking about on the lack of care.
I'm going to make it a point to stop in there and wander around.
Yeah.
It needs to, it's one of those, like on 12th Street, there's someone that's got, no, it's on Chestnut in Walla Walla, mattresses out for over a week on the
Ooh.
landing strip area, so
Nice.
just clean up.
Well, I wonder if this might be an
Code
opportunity
issues.
for community involvement.
Yeah.
What if there was what if this was an herb garden or a community garden of some kind? We gave a group some sort of rights to organize the community around this. Is that another possibility?
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking the helm on trying to make this beautification process work, and I admire that.
Yeah.
But is there an opportunity here for community involvement?
Yeah.
Proximity to Sunbridge, what is that? Sunbridge is down a ways, isn't
A
it?
long ways.
Okay.
It's about 3/4 of a mile to
Yeah.
the east.
I'm just thinking there may be something there. Sunbridge might be willing to pitch in to do something, or maybe the community down the hill, the good folks who live close by might find a reason to be there. I mean, the activity of traffic is going to be probably a deterrent for sort of peaceful gardening, but
Actually,
I'm pushing.
There's a house there that has a really nice garden right along the roadway there. That just requires water.
Right.
It's not a big deal, and
Yeah.
better dirt probably. It's gravel right now.
Having an opportunity for community involvement to me is there's two big benefits there rather than the one.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to have interested people, and that can ebb and flow. So I'm just pushing up ideas here.
No, I think that'd be good for that piece of property as well. And another area I even thought for like a urban garden, if to like give spots out to, is actually that weird piece of property we have adjacent to a fire department that we moved the name nomenclature from, because while I cringed that was considered a park at one point in time, I do think that would make a nice urban garden.
Awesome urban garden.
So that's actually something I want to work on for that parcel back there, because I think that'd be really nice to have that as urban garden. I just thought it was disrespectful to have that as Veterans Park. That should be a little more,
Right.
There's on the internet. There's great community garden rules and regulations that you can establish. It's
Yeah, but and I know
or you
in
can give
Cole,
it to an organization. This area, you could talk to the homeowners association where we live. Someone may be wanting to garden there. I don't know.
yeah.
Not me, but
Well, if you put a few key things in, and maybe some sort of like an arborvitae, sort of like if it's partially screened from the traffic, it might make it more attractive
Yeah.
on the north side, so it's not shading. But do
it's not as
something.
big as you think.
Yeah, it may not be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at these pictures and thinking
That makes
wow,
it look
it's
a lot
pretty
bigger.
size.
That makes it
Yes.
look bigger. When I looked at that, I was like, at first I was thinking, how do you even fit that on there? But they claim it can, so.
Yeah.
It's like, it's less than 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Much less.
All right.
Yep. And then the last thing on the agenda, and I would just ask to look it over and then let me know any edits you have to it as soon as you can, is Carrie put together like a survey, really inquiring about potential preferences for like rec programs, both youth and adult. So that way we can get a sample, because in the past when we did the Park and Rec survey, that was mainly geared, it had a little bit of a recreation element, but it really spoke a lot to the park side of the coin. And then this basically just goes into what are certain preferences either for youth and adult activities, and then also how to get the information to people, and then where people are going now for said activities, and then what time frame would work for everyone. So that's really what this survey gets to. Let me know if you have any edits or suggestion points or anything on that.
What's your intention for getting it out right now? What's your plan?
The plan to get it out would be basically online through social media, also out in the foyer and the lobby, and then also put an ad for it in our utility newsletter that goes out to all of the utility customers as well. And then I'd probably put a stack of them as well, because it seems to work, because I've noticed where everyone gets their information from. I tend to put a stack of paper flyers at Andy's Market, Rogers Bakery, and then next door at Black Cup, and between those three it seems that they go all over the place. So.
When is the first farmer's market?
First farmer's market will be on May 30th.
Okay, so we're a ways out from that.
Yeah.
Because the crowd that shows up there, I would think, would be very interested in
Yeah.
this.
Is this also going out through the schools?
Yeah, that would be the idea too. We'll send a link to Heidi Wells and then Holly and Brian over at Wava and Rogers, and then Steve Rose and John over at the university.
Once the data is gathered from the survey, what are we going to do with it?
Well, the data from a survey is really going to help inform that rec plan that our Whitman fellow is working on. So I was hoping if you were all okay with the tenor of the questions, she would basically aggregate the data and then from there have findings in the final report for us on this.
Yeah, I would, there's good questions. I can tell you right now, just breezing through it, I would take off water balloon fight,
Okay.
unless you have a liability
Yeah.
desire.
Yeah, good point.
That one makes no sense.
Okay.
I would be concerned a little bit about people fully understanding events.
Okay.
The Fall Festival and Winterfest, I think we all know about it because we've been involved in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
A brief description might be helpful.
Oh, okay.
That would sort of help people remember exactly which one that one was.
Okay.
And maybe that would also be an opportunity to inform people who may have missed some of these events.
Okay.
That would just be I think that could be helpful. But
That's a good idea.
because we call it Winterfest, but I mean, people are going to think, well, oh, it was the parade. That's what they're talking about.
Well, I know that's actually what I've heard when people have talked about it, where I'll say Winterfest and it's like what? And it's like fireworks and parade. Oh, that.
Yeah, they don't remember
Yeah.
the names. So if we can explain a little more, or at least talk about some of the bullet points that happened, that would be
Okay.
that would, I think, help you get more accurate information actually. And
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
I would actually, I would just call, which of the following special events
Special.
versus recreation events
Okay.
would you or your family be interested in attending? Because that's what, in the industry, that's what they're called, and people
Oh.
get used to it. Runs or special events,
Okay.
so, and I would agree with life, a little
Yeah.
bit more explanation on some of this stuff works.
Yeah.
are we expecting for
Right.
whoever interacts? Oh, sorry, Jim, did you finish?
Go ahead.
How you identify, are we expecting everybody to be 18 and above, or do we anticipate some kids might be filling the survey out? Or are we concerned about those? Just looking at how you identify. Maybe there's another line that could be added there.
Oh. Okay.
For instance, I'll say this.
Yeah.
This is a point of pride for me. I'm very happy that this happens. My 14 and 11-year-old boys get on their bicycles and ride to the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
And they hang out at the farmer's market as the two of them, and they absolutely love it. And the fact that I live in a little town like that does that is great. So they would love to fill out this, but they're way too young to really sort of count, right? Are we interested in their input?
Yeah.
I mean, kids in their category. I'm not talking specifically about my kids, but I know that the farmer's market has been a highlight for my boys and my wife and for me. And they also have been in attendance in many of the events. So that's
Yeah.
maybe something to consider.
Okay.
I would, I guess I have some philosophically, my desire for the city of College Boys, as new as as we are getting into this business, I would focus more towards children
Okay,
and hardly any for adults.
okay,
Because we'll have limited resources.
Yeah.
And our job, in my opinion, is we want kids to be doing good things, not bad things.
Right.
And the more good things you can provide them to participate in, the less chance they're going to get into some negative activity. So adults can create their own activity.
Mhm.
Adults can go participate in a full sports program at Walla Walla. We don't need that identity. We don't need that cost.
Yeah.
So I take that portion off.
okay,
It's just kind of my opinion that I think we're young enough, we need to look at kid stuff, children first, for money that's going to,
okay,
I think it's a very good point. I think
Yeah.
it's a very good point because looking at the demographic, yeah, focusing on children would be a priority.
yeah,
And, looking at the cost that it would take for us to run an additional program for adults would probably be a burden to the city.
yeah,
And we don't have the bandwidth perhaps
no,
to subsidize that.
and the good thing is, the city participated in the building of the pool so that we could keep the fees being all the same and not have non-resident and resident fees. It's an administrative nightmare from an operational standpoint. So the city did buy into that concept and is financially assisting in that construction project. So it'd be like, I think it was a good move. I think the things that are established in Walla Walla for adults, people get there. They'll get there. For kids, we've got to build community in the neighborhoods,
yeah,
and that's where we need to focus.
okay,
The schools and the parks. That's my opinion.
okay,
So it's, she could whittle that part down.
yeah,
And I would like to see actually a question, like, as Leif said, does, how many school-age kids?
okay,
How many middle school? How many high school?
okay,
That starts to focus more where
yeah,
the information is you need.
Well, and that may be the direction you wanted to go as far as distribution. Maybe the schools become a resource for,
Advertising.
getting information
Yep.
back from kids. And speaking of kids, in a couple of minutes, I'm gonna have to leave because it is late start Friday.
oh,
Yeah.
So, but looks great.
okay, good,
Yeah, with some whittles. I think she's
Yeah.
done
good,
good. So move on.
okay, great,
Thank you.
great,
Good job. And then we got the recreation report. Right?
well, the recreation.
Recreation program plan update.
Yeah, and the plan update was really that, just
Okay.
just that we were putting together the survey and wanted to get your input on that, and we just went through that.
Format of the report. Yeah, and I guess that part we just talked about needs to be related to
Yeah.
her. So that gets into the general format of concept.
Yep, in the option we're really looking at with the plan that really seems to hold water is really how Toppenish has things set up where where in order to have the youth rec stuff going on, they have like that shared director with the school district. The more we're looking into that, the more that seems the way to go. Unfortunately now I guess we're gonna have to talk to whoever's Tim's predecessor is to see if they're up for
Really
that.
hurts.
But yeah, I know.
That really hurts.
Tim is, I'll state it for the record. Tim's a really good guy.
Yeah.
And I have a great amount of respect for him. And I regret that he's not going to be part of this body or
Yeah.
part of the community here. And Afreda, or what is it, Ellensburg?
Afreda.
Afreda is got a really great guy coming, so. And,
Yeah, I would concur.
Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
should I turn that into a motion?
You can.
Okay.
We could all go give
Yeah.
him a hug or something.
I'm going to need to go here
Yeah.
quick, so.
So
Well,
I
yeah.
think we're in.
Yeah, so that's all I had. Just understand that long term, that's what we're looking at, that shared position really seems to be the way to go for a community of our size with limited means, because Toppenish is doing it, and they actually have a way tighter budget than we do, because they lack a lot of commercial, and they're surrounded by a lot of tribal enterprise too,
Yeah.
so they have a pretty dire situation there.
Good.
Yep,
Sounds like a good goal.
yep.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So, and here we go.
All in favor, yep.
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned.